blaming Joe Biden, I actually want to criticize the puppeteers that are controlling him, because I genuinely believe he has one foot in the grave. We don't know who's in charge.
All of you know, that's why you're spending all your time about, oh, look at Kamala Harris. She's a slightly normal politician. Ooh, that's so scary.
Anthony was fired, after 10 days, sounds like a bitter ex-employee. Cenk has Trump derangement syndrome, whether you like it or not, brother.
Where are we now with this election, do you think?
Our model has the November outcome basically 50-50.
So the key question is, who's going to be President of the United States come November 5th? Well, the summer's often a quiet time in news and politics, but the DNC's election-winning machine has been running at full throttle. A month ago, even the most passionate and partisan Democrat would have struggled to pretend that Kamala Harris is anything more than a middling vice president with dubious credentials for the highest office in the land. But almost overnight, she's been manufactured into a cultural phenomenon and a visionary. Most of all, she's apparently a harbinger of joy.
Yeah, that's all she goes on.
What I will not forgive them for is their try to steal the joy from this country.
The joy felt by Americans backing the Harris-Walz ticket. We are joyful warriors. Being joyful is part of the American identity.
The joy factor. Campaign of joy. You're talking about radical joy. It is downright
Radical joy.
It looks like a joyous rally. It looks like a joyous occasion.
A real zeal and joy in the campaign.
The joy that you're bringing back to the country.
Joyful, exuberant rally.
Thank you for bringing back the joy.
Power of joy, hope and joy.
Something incredibly joyful.
Like a little kid's fairy tale.
With a sense of joy.
Joy. Joy. Joy.
Joy.
Joy. Joy. Joy. Joy. Joy.
Joy. Joy.
Imagine that. American politics.
Oh, the joy. Why am I not feeling quite so joyful? Why do none of them look that joyful as they said all that? The same battery of commentators, strategists and grandees who conspired to oust
be joyful like them.
President of the United States, Joe Biden,
or perceived
are now
to be, I
working
guess.
equally ardently over time to ensure that they get to choose the next one. Will the American people swallow all this enforced joy? Can Harris withstand the scrutiny that comes with the home straight of a presidential campaign? Or will she simply dodge that scrutiny altogether? After 40 days without an interview or a press conference, this is how she answered the easiest, most predictable question of all when she finally sat down with CNN.
If you are elected, what would you do on day one in the White House?
Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you first and foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. When I look at the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people, I think that people are ready for a new way forward. In a way that generations of Americans have been fueled by hope and by optimism.
Oh, come on, Kamala. What does all that mean? It's just word salad. Regardless of your politics, it's not an answer to an obvious question. If Kamala's first command to her team from behind the Resolute desk is do what you can to support the middle class, America's in big trouble. What her campaign is doing successfully is somehow managing to distance Harris from everything she's ever said or done, particularly in the administration in which she has served as vice president. She's apparently flipped positions on everything from the border wall to abolishing private health insurance, imposing electric car mandates, defunding the police, and banning fracking. None of it seems to matter. The message is clear. Kamala Harris is shiny, new, and nothing to do with what's happened before, either under Joe Biden or what's come out of her own mouth.
A new way forward and turn the page on the last decade of what I believe has been contrary to where the spirit of our country.
I'm just looking for the real views here.
The last decade, of course, the last 3.5 years.
Where does she
has been part of your
Where does she align?
I'm talking about an era.
Still don't know.
You've literally been in charge for nearly 4 years of that 10 years.
Thank you.
This is your
PIERS.
era. And I use that pronunciation very deliberately. This woman was the Vice President of the United States, is the Vice President of the United States. There's actually a president who's on the beat somewhere. Well, the cabal which united
he
to
just
force
made his
her
way
boss
back,
into
PIERS.
retirement, meanwhile,
He
still
just
barely
got
able to
back
contain
from
his glee.
his vacation,
The person who should be
his holiday.
applauded is the president who did the most selfless thing that anybody's done since George Washington. And that's true.
No,
Yeah, whatever.
people make their own decisions.
Absolutely they do.
Absolutely they do. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for what you didn't do.
I'm weak.
Should ask her about that insider trading.
It was George Clooney with his op-ed in the New York Times, and Nancy
Big Money Pelosi,
who apparently said to Biden, "We can do this the easy way or the hard way, but you're out, sunshine." It was those two who led the campaign to get rid of him. They were the Brutuses to the Caesar, and yet now they want us to think this guy's the greatest guy since sliced bread. Greatest is Washington, the first president of the United States, the founder of the United States.
Hey man, make sure to like the video, man. Let's get more people in on the conversation.
Is that how anyone views Joe Biden? A man who, before he could even serve a second term, had to be bullied and shamed and humiliated out of his position as the nominee for 2024 by his own team, by his own people? There's a lot to call out about Kamala Harris and her campaign. In my view, the Trump campaign also has its problems. It's yet to regain its footing and confidence that it had when Biden was the nominee. Let's be clear, Trump destroyed Biden at that debate and was heading for an easy victory if Biden had stayed in the race. It's not quite so certain or easy now. But there's a cautionary note here for Democrats too. The last time Trump took on a woman who appeared to be surging in the polls, with the same George Clooney slamming him from a press conference at a movie festival, things didn't quite work out the way everyone expected. It may feel like it began 100 years ago, but the real race for the President of the United States begins now. Well, joining me now to debate all this, the Young Turks founder, Cenk Uygur, the former White House Communications Director, Anthony Scaramucci, broadcaster and journalist Emily Austin, and
he makes the panels lit.
He does.
Commentator and self-professed angry preacher,
Hey, shout out Vinny.
welcome to all of you.
Shout out Vinny for standing ovation on PBD.
Man.
3 weeks or so. All hell
get
as
that boy
normal
his
broken
flowers. He
loose
was
because
standing on
all
business.
hell breaks loose every week in this race. Anthony Scaramucci, great to have you on Uncensored. We've spoken many times over the last few years about all things American
Right, like if you
politics.
vote me in, I'll do this, and that. Like, what
posted
about
on October
now?
the 1st, don't be surprised if Donald Trump drops out of the race. Nearly 10 million people viewed that post. Do you stand by it? And if you do, will you accept a $1,000 bet from me right now that Trump isn't going to pull out?
Hey, Trump is trying to get his
Pearson
trying to get his gamble on.
Election. I don't know if I'm going to bet on the pullout. I mean, he's got to drop more substantially in the polls. You know, he's down 6 with the likely voters. If she opens up a lead, 12 to 15 points, he's not going to want to lose to her. He's the worst presidential candidate for the Republicans since Herbert Hoover. He's lost the House, the Senate, and the presidency.
Wow.
And if DeSantis or Nikki Haley was running against Kamala Harris, they'd probably be up 10 or 15. So we'll have to see. But unlikely voters, he's already
who the
down
Republicans
6,
voted in is not the best. Okay.
I like her momentum. I understand all the issues that you're raising related to her, but unfortunately, there's only 2 choices. There's him and her. And I think I would implore people to read H.R. McMaster's book if they get a chance, because he's very honest and very objective about the insanity that is Donald Trump.
I mean, Anthony, if I'd asked you
$1,000 on the election, I got Kamala. You can take the orange man if you want.
We'll make it for charity.
I'm done on that.
We'll make it for charity. I'll take that bet. I still think Trump's going to win. I'm not an American citizen. I don't have a vote. I don't have a horse in the race. I just think reality is going to kick in. And if I asked you, Anthony, before we move to the others, if I'd asked you even 2 months ago, do you think Kamala Harris would make a great president of the United States? You would have laughed out loud. Be honest.
Again, there's 2 choices in the race. I know I don't want to go back to what we had. I think it was
here we go.
unmitigated disaster. He embarrassed
I don't want to go back.
Supporting him.
Here we go, guys.
And he's
sure like
actually
the video,
an embarrassment
man. Let's get
on
us
the
up
world
20
stage.
likes. Appreciate y'all.
And he doesn't even understand things like the nuclear triad. The guy is a walking disaster. And so I will take her over him. But you're right. If there were other candidates available, if you were available, Pierce, you're not over 35 yet. But if you were an American citizen and over 35, I would take you.
He's like, shit,
so this is why I've only got 2 choices.
This is really why I wanted you on the program, because I knew that you would flatter me in a way that I would find irresistible.
I'm weak.
Emily Austin. So look, Kamala Harris was nobody's choice, even on the Democrat side, to be president of the United States 2 months ago. Suddenly, she's apparently the great, fresh, new thing. despite the fact that she's been Biden's vice president for nearly 4 years. How
What's
can
up, Bison
she
Bill?
continue to execute this tripwire of pretending she's not responsible or accountable
Man, we trying to be
for
the
everything that's
hardest
gone
working
on in
YouTubers
this
out here,
administration?
man.
The answer is that she can't. You know, there's only so long you could portray this facade that you have everything figured out. But what I hope to see happen sooner than later, because the clock is ticking,
she ain't trying to
is
give
for
no
the
real
emotions
answers,
to be
'cause-
removed from this election.
Man,
Kamala
let's be
could
real.
run her.
Any real answer she gives, now she got to be honed into and be like, okay, but you say you were going to do this. And if she says something, everybody look at her like, well, that's impossible. She going to look dumb.
Ren and Stimpy,
And she's
happy,
trying to
happy,
avoid
joy,
that
joy
moment.
campaign all she wants.
In my belief,
which sounds
in my
strikingly similar to Hitler's strength through joy, but I'm not even going to get into that.
Oh,
but at some
wow.
point, which will happen
Not
likely
the
in this
Hitler
debate,
compar- come
is her
on now.
policies have to be questioned. She can
Don't
run
pull
on
a
the joy
Democrat
campaign. Trump
on
is
no
the
public.
policy president.
Don't pull a
He
Democrat on a
addresses
Democrat
it head on,
now.
whether
Come
it's
on now.
easy or hard. Kamala can't even face the media. Her pre-taped, lied to be what was a live interview on CNN. She couldn't even do it without her
That was
babysitter
sad.
nearby. And she's an embarrassment to the country. And it's not because she's a woman, and it's not because she's a woman of color. I'm sure she's a lovely woman, and as a celebrity, she's quite entertaining. But presidentially, she would embarrass us on a global stage. She's embarrassing us domestically, and it would be disastrous. Everything he just said about Trump, I believe the same to Kamala Harris.
All right, Cenk Uygur, she's an embarrassing disaster. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing's been preposterous. Kamala Harris is a very standard, normal politician, and you guys are ignoring the 800-pound gorilla in the room, which is that Donald Trump is a lunatic. So you guys are having this conversation. This normal politician, oh my God, she might not be good enough. Wow, she's running with joy. That sounds like Hitler. All these kind of loony things that you guys are all saying. When the other guy's a lunatic.
But y'all called him Hitler too, though. Could we be fair and say that y'all called him Hitler too, and now they're just kind of, pulling a Democrat on a Democrat?
He thinks we should terminate the Constitution.
He thinks
that all of our crowds are AI-created images. He believes absolutely insane things, thought that his vice president deserved to be murdered by his supporters. And we're having a nonsense conversation about Kamala Harris running with joy being a bad thing. And guys, there's a lot of reasons that she does that. But one of the reasons is to juxtapose the hatred from the other side, which you guys are amply displaying. The other side's like, oh my God, everybody's the enemy. The immigrants are the enemy. The Democrats are the enemy. Oh, they're killing babies after they're born. All these lunatic talk. So go ahead, run your mouth about Kamala Harris. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump's still a lunatic, and the country doesn't want an unstable madman like that who doesn't even believe in America. He thinks we should terminate our Constitution. He had no problem trampling our democracy. I'm not letting that clown come in here and destroy this country.
Project 2025.
All right, Vinny Ashara, he's a clown who'll destroy the country, an 800-pound gorilla. This is apparently the nice. These are the nice guys spreading joy.
Yeah,
well, you
listen,
guys are super nice.
I have to say this, Piers. Emily, you kind of brushed over it, love, and I think you should have stayed on it. Emily's a Jewish girl, and she mentioned the strength through joy was 100% hijacked from the Nazis. It was in 1933. I have to read this, Emily. Hold on one second, guys. I actually want to read this because Emily's right. They ripped a Nazi, hold on, Cenk, I didn't interrupt you. The Nazi labor campaign of 1933, that's it. It was set up as a tool to promote the advantages of Nazism. So whoever's...
Hey, yo, he ain't had to throw up the squats and on the phone like that now. Whoa, Vinny, chill.
Coming up with this joy campaign, they should do a little bit more research. And you know what? Instead of going Trump and talking bad about, I don't know Anthony, I know Cenk and I respect Cenk. We disagree politically, but let's talk about the actual State of the Union right now, Piers. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but an American Jewish hostage was murdered by Hamas. That just happened a couple days ago. And also, the Hells Angels are en route right now to Aurora, Colorado, to stop a Venezuelan brutal gang, and the gang is called Tren Aragua because they've taken over apartment complexes.
That's true.
They're sex trafficking women. They're doing drugs. The FBI's not doing nothing. The mayor's not doing nothing. The governor's not doing anything. Why is all this happening? You know why? Because Joe Biden is on vacation. He's still on vacation. 40% of his administration. Kamala Harris is...
Bro, they ran up in there with guns, kicking in doors, forcing out families. And look, man, I don't even want to get into what they might have done to a couple of the women, but come on now. And yes, it is true. They're trying to hide this. They're trying to hide the immigration problem so we don't look at Kamala dead in her face and be like, yo, this was your task. What do you mean you could run the country? You couldn't handle this.
Is just going around with herself, with her support human being. Who's actually running the country right now? Everybody's worried about the future and Trump, and he's such a threat to democracy. Why did he do all that stuff in the 4 years that he was here? I'm genuinely curious. All this threat and all these problems. Name one thing that was, oh my God, a threat to democracy. What was it? And what is Kamala going to do? I want Anthony and Cenk to tell me what's one thing. Hold on. What's one thing Kamala, people are going to vote for Kamala for? Anthony, just random. What are you going to vote for Kamala Harris for?
We got almost 300 of y'all in here already, man. So do me a favor, man, and let's get the likes up to well above 100. Want to see some support in this stream, man. We appreciate y'all tuning in.
Okay, Vinny, you've asked lots of questions there. I would say
let's get to 20 though. Appreciate the support. Go ahead and double tap that screen for me.
Was an attack on democracy. You know, when a very large mob of people attack the Capitol and start calling for lawmakers to be hung because they're trying to reverse an election decision, that's an attack on democracy. You can spin it any way you like, but it is. But Anthony, let me ask Anthony the second part of that, because I'm sure he would say the same. Very interesting question Vinny raised it there. Who is running the United States? You know, I felt very strongly when Kamala Harris effectively sailed through as the nominee. It was clearly a party machinery operation to get her the nomination as fast as possible. Would it not have been better for America if the Vice President of the United States, in that situation, who's now the official nominee, actually replaced Joe Biden as President of the United States? It's very, very odd as a non-American who loves the country, has a home there. I was there for several weeks in August, to see endless pictures of Joe Biden on the beach,
man,
and
it's a bit
Kamala
crazy.
Harris meeting world leaders. It's very odd. It's strange. It doesn't seem to make any sense. Do you?
As in their terms, it's weird. It's very weird. Now, you know, Joe Biden just took a 2-week break. Kamala is out here campaigning. Who's running the country? Bro, it's like both the parents is out the crib and the kids are home. We're going like, whoa. Who's home? Who's help running the kids? How are these niggas eating? That's exactly how everybody looking at America right now.
You think it's
Biden out on holiday, Kamala on tour?
Man.
Well, listen, what I think is right and proper is actually never going to happen. I have to deal with the world the way it is.
But what do you think is right and proper?
But
that implies you agree with me.
To answer Vinny's issue, okay, I don't like seeing what's happening in Aurora, Colorado, but I saw Donald Trump in the Situation Room, and I understand the mechanisms of his personality and the impetuosity and the lack of curiosity and no executive management skills. And to what Cenk is saying, I would take a more garden variety politician who will follow the rules-based society. I don't want somebody that's currying favor with dictators. I don't want somebody that's going to roll back NATO. I don't want somebody that's going to let Vladimir Putin walk into the Ukraine. So that's me. That's what makes America great.
Can we challenge you on that?
He's already done it.
Yeah, so I would have to challenge him on that too. I'm kind of going like, first off, you got to play nice. Actually, when Trump was the president, y'all was on his ass talking about he was some Putin puppet when he was playing nice with Putin, when he was actually making deals with Putin, and America was in a better place. When he was kicking it with China, when he was kicking it with Kim Jong-un, we was in a better place because we was actually buddy making deals with them. Sometimes it's best to play with these world powers instead of thinking we can just spit in their face and make them do stuff for us.
So I said diplomacy is the thing, man. I don't know if y'all agree with Kamala's strategy of going into the room and cutting ties and crossing your arms and turning your back towards these world leaders. Like, you got to remember, these people got nukes. So
Yeah.
They deserve a certain level of respect. Mutually assured destruction is a concept.
And just like Britain, just like what they're doing with BRICS, they can gather up against us and stomp us out if we play with them.
Come on now, let's be smart about this.
It's better if we work with them and divide them.
Emily, I'll come to you.
Just saying.
But Anthony, hang on. Just on that point, Anthony, all I would say is this. Trump didn't go into war with anyone in his 4 years, whatever you think of him. Putin didn't invade Ukraine or anywhere else on Trump's watch.
Because he was cool with them.
I don't want to stop
those things, they're just facts.
Actually, you know, it'd be real. I'm pretty sure if Trump was in office, Putin could have called Trump up and been like, bro, what the hell is them NATO niggas doing? Like, why are they trying to push their border into Ukraine? I thought we agreed on it. He's like, you're right. You're right. I'm going to go stop. I'm going to pull funding and they're going to stop. And that'd have been that. And that'd have been a whole crisis avoided. I promise you, it'd have been as simple as that.
Comes to rolling back NATO, I watched and listened very carefully, given that my country is part of NATO, to what Trump actually said. He wanted other member countries of NATO to pay their due. He was sick and tired of America having to pay the vast majority of the costs of NATO and other countries not paying their due. And by the way, hang on. By the way, on that, he was 100% right. And many of those countries he castigated are now paying significantly more towards the cost of NATO as a result of what Trump did. So on those 2 points, I'm not so sure that you're on good ground.
Well, I think you got to give me a chance to respond, because this is what Trump does. He says two contrary things at the same time. His detractors hold on to one thing. His people that love him hold on to another thing, his advocates. And so he made it very clear to John Bolton. He made it very clear to General Kelly, Jim Mattis, Rex Tillerson that he wanted out of NATO. He made it very clear. He slowed down the arms shipment.
Hey, man, shout out to the super chat, man, from Tim40. Is your mind, in your mind, Trump was surviving divine? Or wait, hold on. In your mind, Trump was well, am I reading that wrong?
I can't quite make out what he's saying either.
But it is in different money, though, so I probably have to say that. But in your mind, was Trump Sir Divine or something like that? Like, what is he saying, guys? Let's see.
Help us out, chat.
But yes. And yeah, actually, we do know how NATO works. Now, but here's the problem, though. We agree with Russia that NATO wouldn't move past Poland. Now, Ukraine did want it to be into NATO. We do understand that, but we made an agreement with Putin that Ukraine would never do that. One, because, well, Putin owns 51% of the pipeline that ran through Ukraine before they destroyed it, of course. So why would he want to give over that to NATO? It would low-key crush his economy. So when he pulled that move, he pulled it for his economy. Surviving divine.
Surviving the assassination attempt. Yeah, that was meant to happen. I mean, me and Seth have joked about in an alternate reality, in an alternate timeline, we are just living in the consequence of Trump, unfortunately, catching that bullet that day. But yeah, he's here. He's meant to be here, obviously, and yeah, I do think that was maybe some divine intervention.
And I'm gonna be real with you. We all got to understand that one. Ukraine was playing with the big dog. They played with Russia. They kicked Russia and they ran to America for cover. And here's the problem with that, though. We agreed to that they would never come here. So for some reason, they played nice under Trump. But as soon as Biden got in office, they said, oh, yeah, we acting bad now. We're going to go ahead, say, forget the treaty, forget what we agreed with Russia, go ahead and risk their economy. You know, Putin is just not going to let go of his economy. So to be honest with you, trying to take Russia was basically but NATO trying to take Ukraine is basically saying we're trying to destroy Russia's economy. Yeah.
There's a threat to Russia's economy.
Yep. So you think we're going to let that happen? But you think Russia's going to let that happen?
Putin, the nationalist is.
Yeah, do you think Putin's going to let that happen? No, he's not. He's going to go in there and step on him and be like, all right, who's going to stop me? And surprise, surprise, nobody want to step in there and try to stop him, but we all want to send money to it, though.
Appreciate that $2 super chat from our boy Tim.
Tim40. Appreciate that. But yeah, surviving was divine.
In 1994, we cut a deal with them. They were the sixth largest
remember the Simpsons?
nuclear arsenal.
Yeah. He was supposed to die in the Simpsons.
Right. For security guarantees, he slowed down the arms shipments. There's an irrefutable fact to that, a result of which gave Vladimir Putin an opening in the Ukraine. Moreover, he moved the embassy The State Department asked him not to move the embassy in Jerusalem. He moved the embassy in Jerusalem. And you can't tell me that didn't lead to more funding for Hamas, because we know from our intelligence agencies that it did. So we can pretend that he didn't start any wars, but he doesn't understand the nature of the world. The State Department told him, don't go to North Korea. The guy's never given up his nukes. He said, no, no, no. I'm Donald Trump, the supreme narcissist. I'm going to North Korea. He's going to give up his nukes. Did he give up his nukes, Piers? This is insanity that we're talking about a guy that is this intellectually bereft running the country. So you gotta.
But let me ask you, okay. But before I go to Emily to respond to that,
things out there at the same time.
Before I go to Emily,
Anthony, he's been very honest about it.
Who do you
staff.
think? Okay, but here's a tough question for you before I go to Emily to respond. If you're Vladimir Putin or you're Kim Jong-un or you're President Xi, who are you going to be more or less intimidated by? Donald Trump or Kamala Harris?
Trump. There's no question Kamala Harris. It's not even close, because he wants to be them. He praises them. He solicits them. He tells Putin from a microphone like this, go ahead and invade the countries that are not spending 2% on NATO. You heard him say that. It's not me saying it.
But I knew what he meant by that.
No question.
I knew what he meant. What he meant was, if the member countries of NATO don't pay their dues, it is more likely that people like Putin will take advantage. That's what he meant. You know that.
It's a 2016 analysis, Piers. Your analysis is a 2016 analysis. He dupes people. He says two things at the same time that are quite contradictory.
All right, let me bring
it on both sides.
Hey, let me bring in Emily.
And he denounces.
Hey,
shout out Z Corp Alpha, man, supporter on the channel. We appreciate the super chat, my guy.
My man came through again, man. Republicans lose 2024. They won't win again till 2050, if ever. Trump's too old in 2028. Name another Republican win in 2028. Vivek Ramaswamy.
I was about to say I'm hoping for Vivek.
Tulsi Gabbard, RFK. Possibly. Because RFK has definitely left the Democratic. And a lot of people say, hey, if it wasn't Trump, we'd have went RFK.
You had solid policies. Not going to lie. I was with him on the fitness and health aspect alone.
I'm thinking Vivek would have been the best option.
Appreciate that super chat, man. Appreciate the support to the channel.
Man, appreciate you, big dog.
Is the Nazis.
Emily, you were holding your face in utter
I know
horror.
the playbook, Pierre. I've been around it for a decade.
Okay, I saw Emily hold her head in horror as you said that the world's dictators will be more intimidated by Kamala Harris.
No question, because she's going to be with NATO.
Trump has the spinal cord and the international respect that Biden in a million years can never achieve. Donald Trump had every world leader afraid of him. He just said, Anthony, that Donald Trump should not, excuse me, let me speak. You just said Donald Trump should not have gone to North Korea. If this man has international respect and can go build bridges overseas, he has every single right and a duty as our leader to do so. Let me tell you something about Donald Trump. Like him or not, he is feared. And that is what we need when the world has gone mad and you have Putin's invading Ukraine and you have Hamas's attacking Israel and kidnapping 7 Americans that Biden failed, including, like Vinny just said, Hirsch Goldberg, Poland, being murdered with Hamas posting a video. And what is Biden's response?
Better. He'll get smarter.
Netanyahu didn't do enough.
Just made his
Biden's only response should have been, Hamas will pay the price. Biden should have been more present, not on a beach, using Hirsch's poor parents as political tools at the DNC, pretending he cares about the American hostages, not relaxing in Delaware. They should have been more pressure on Iran to put pressure on the proxies, more negotiations with Qatar. Instead, he's this weak leader. But you know what? I want to pause for a moment. I'm blaming Joe Biden. I actually want to criticize the puppeteers that are controlling him, because I genuinely believe he has one foot in the grave. And that actually goes to a bigger problem with the entire Democratic Party. We don't know who's in charge. It is not Joe Biden, and it is surely as hell not Kamala Harris. So it goes back to Pierce's question.
Yeah, they did have forced him out on that stage. That was a bit wild. I ain't
we as
gonna
the
lie.
American people
I'm like, come on, let my man
for the past couple
sleep.
months, like even in the debate stage with Trump, that was kind of like the final straw. Like my man did not look like himself up there. It's like they clearly shot him up with this drug serum, this drug cocktail, and said, "Break a leg."
You know, I was kind of hoping for mass Biden because there's less elder abuse. Like, come on, man, just give us a really good CIA mask and go throw that guy up there.
It's
man.
sad, man. Let that old man kick his feet up. They just now let him go on vacation.
outraged that this weakness is causing mass chaos,
bad for him
not
and the
just
Biden
here, but all
family.
around the world. America is next. The West is the target. The Middle East is laughing at us right now because we have no leadership. Donald Trump would never let that happen.
Okay,
People respected him and people
right.
feared him, and I don't care if you like him or not.
People feared him.
Let me bring in Cenk, who's been waiting with unusual patience, it has to be said. I put it down to you must have had a summer break of some description that's calmed you a little bit. But be honest with me, Cenk. If I, do you really believe that when it comes to standing up to world leaders like Kim Jong-un, like Putin, like Xi and others, do you really believe that Kamala Harris is somebody that will exude an air on behalf of the United States that will be more intimidating to those guys than Trump would?
It's not even close. Absolutely. And I'll tell you why. You guys are looking at it, it's like all of this foreign policy's emotional vibes in the room. And Kamala Harris walks in and are they like, oh my God, I'm intimidated. Or, oh, it's no big deal. And Trump walks in, they're like, oh my God, I fear him. No, it's about what you're willing to do, your actions, your policies, etc. So what does Kamala Harris have? Kamala Harris has the might of the administrative state and the U.S. military behind her. And they know she's stable and she represents the general American.